Madara Uchiha. This is the name that brought fear to the entire Shinobi Alliance when he was brought back using Edo Tensei. The gap in power between Madara and his enemies was terrifying, especially in his fight against the Five Kage. Seriously, how many ninjas in history could fight all Five Kage at once and make them look helpless? Madara spammed massive fire-style jutsu non-stop, used Susanoo, unleashed huge wood-style attacks, and even summoned 2 giant meteors from the sky, turning the battlefield into pure chaos. After he was fully revived, he captured most of the tailed beasts, absorbed the 10 tails, and reached the power of the Sage of Six Paths. His peak was when he cast the Infinite Tsukuyomi, trapping the whole world in an endless dream. If it wasn't for Black Zetsu's betrayal, who turned out to be the real mastermind hiding in the shadows, Madara might have rewritten the entire history of the ninja world. Honestly, out of all the ninjas revived by Edo Tensei, no one came close to the level of destruction and impact Madara had. Previous Kage, Hashiama Senju. Hashirama, known as the god of shinobi, was brought back to life by Orochimaru during the Fourth Great Ninja War, along with the other former Hokage. And he quickly proved why he earned that legendary title. You'd think that after so many generations, someone would have surpassed him. But nope. It wasn't until Naruto's era that someone could finally match his power. Right after being revived, Hashirama showed off his insane wood-style jutsu. But even more impressive than his abilities was his spirit and willpower. He inspired the entire Shinobi Alliance and gave them the strength to stand up against Madara. Tobarama Senju, the second Hokage, was also brought back using his own forbidden jutsu, Edo Tensei. The man who created the jutsu got hit by it, twice. The moment he returned, Tobarama instantly analyzed the chakra on the battlefield like a pro, showing off his sharp mind and sensory skills. And let's not forget that epic moment when Sasuke activated his Sharingan and started talking about destroying the village in front of him. Tobarama gave off major, you picked the wrong guy to mess with energy. It was tense, but also super cool, showing how serious and no-nonsense he was. In battle, Tobarama proved his genius with powerful forbidden jutsu and flawless teamwork, especially when he synced up with Minato using Flying Ray Jin. He also figured out that only senjutsu-based attacks could actually hurt Obito. Without Tobarama's sharp thinking, the war might have ended very differently. Hiruzen Sarutobi Hiruzen, the third Hokage, was killed by Orochimaru and later brought back by him using Edo Tensei, along with the other Hokage. Even after coming back, the old ninja proved why he was called the Professor. He could use all 5 basic chakra natures like a master. In a world where so many ninja rely on special bloodlines or inherited powers, Hiruzen's skill made him truly impressive. He earned his title through pure talent, training, and knowledge. Minato Namikaze. Minato, Naruto's dad and the 4th Hokage, made an epic entrance when he was revived. The moment he showed up, he used Flying Ray Jin to teleport the 10 Tails giant Bijudama away, saving the entire alliance from total destruction. That one move instantly reminded everyone why he's called the Yellow Flash. Even though his time as Hokage was short, and he didn't get much screen time in the anime, the version of Minato we saw in the war was on another level. He was faster than Tobarama, who was already super fast, worked perfectly with Flying Raijin combos, spammed Rasengan, used Sage Mode, entered Kurama Chakra Mode, and even did a massive father-son Rasengan with Naruto. Long story short, Minato deserves all the hype. He's one of the most powerful and well-rounded shinobi in history. Mu, the second Tsuchikage of the Stone Village, was known as non-person. He could completely erase his chakra and presence. Basically, turn invisible in every possible way. In the past, Mu fought an intense battle with Gengetsu, the second Mizukage, and it was so deadly that both of them died. Mu had a rare Keki-Toda ability called Jinten, which combines fire, wind, and earth natures to create a jutsu that disintegrates matter at the molecular level. He also trained Onoki, the third Tsuchikage, and passed the Jinten technique to him. Thanks to Mu, Onoki became the only living ninja who could use dust release. Gengetsu Hozuki. Gengetsu, the second Mizukage from the Mist Village, was Mu's lifelong rival. He came from the famous Hozuki clan and was a master of water-style jutsu. His deadliest move was Joki Boy, a steam-powered clone that could explode with massive force. Rasa. Rasa, the fourth Kazekage of the Sand Village and Gaara's father, could control gold dust, a mix of fine gold particles and chakra. He used it with great power and precision, just like how Gaara controls sand. In the past, he protected the village from many threats using this ability. Even though he once tried to turn Gaara into a living weapon, during their battle, Rasa realized something powerful. Gaara had grown up, not just in strength, but in heart. Gaara had learned how to love and protect others, and lead his village with kindness. Third Raikage. The third Raikage from the Cloud Village was known for his insane strength and toughness. He was like a walking wall of steel. One of his most famous feats was fighting 10,000 enemy ninja by himself for 3 days and nights without stopping. Just the idea of fighting that long is hard to believe. He had a massive amount of chakra, incredible stamina, and super high speed. But what really made him scary was his lightning armor, a defense so strong that almost nothing could break through it. The ironic part is that the only person who ever managed to hurt him was himself during one of his own powerful attacks. Akatsuki, Kakuzu. Kakuzu was part of the zombie duo and had a serious obsession with money. But what made him really dangerous was his ability to survive almost any attack. He had 5 hearts, each with a different chakra nature. This made him super hard to kill. Believe it or not, he was even old enough to have fought the first Hokage, Hashirama. After being brought back with Edo Tensei, he became even harder to beat thanks to his body constantly regenerating. Cesori. Cesori was cold and quiet. He used human puppets in battle and treated people like tools. After being revived, he fought Kankuro and started to change. He began to understand that true art comes from emotions and human spirit, not lifeless puppets. In the end, he let go of his past and found peace. It was a rare, touching moment for someone who had lived in darkness for so long. Deodara. Deodara, on the other hand, didn't change at all. He was still loud, proud, and obsessed with blowing things up. He saw explosions as the highest form of art. In battle, he threw exploding clay animals everywhere and seemed to enjoy every second of the chaos. Eventually, though, he was stopped. When Kabuto lost control of Edo Tensei, Deodara's soul was released. You can almost imagine him arguing with Cesori in the afterlife, still trying to prove whose art was better. Nagato. Nagato was one of the strongest people Kabuto brought back. He used to be the leader of Akatsuki and had the powerful Rinnegan eyes. After his fight with Naruto, he changed and wanted peace. But when he was revived, he was no longer in control of his actions. He was forced to fight for Obito, using devastating techniques like Shinra Tensei and chakra absorption. It's hard to imagine how anyone could stand up to a fighter with infinite healing and one of the most powerful dojutsu in the world. But then, Itachi. Itachi came back during the war as one of the revived shinobi, but he quickly broke free from Kabuto's control thanks to a powerful genjutsu from Shisui's eye, Kotoa Matsukami. This was a big turning point. Once free, Itachi teamed up with Naruto and Killer Bee to defeat Nagato. But he didn't stop there. He later worked with Sasuke to take down Kabuto himself. Itachi forced Kabuto to end the Edo Tensei jutsu, helping many lost souls find peace. It was one of the most heroic moments in the series for Itachi. Special Ninjas. Asuma. Asuma, the former teacher of Team 10 and the son of the third Hokage, was brought back to fight in the war. He had died earlier in a battle with the Akatsuki. When his students had to face him again, it was a heartbreaking and emotional moment. They had to fight their own teacher, and while the battle was hard, it helped them grow and move forward. Dan Kato, Yatsunade's love. He had a special ability called Spirit Transformation Technique, which allowed his spirit to leave his body and move freely. While in spirit form, he could move super fast, pass through walls, and attack enemies without being seen. Before being sealed, Dan managed to reach Tsunade and passed all of his remaining chakra to her. It gave her the strength to keep fighting for Konoha and for the dreams they once shared. Chiyo. Chiyo was a legendary puppet master from the Sand Village. She could control the 10 puppet collection of Chikamatsu, a very complex and rare technique. Earlier in the series, she fought her own grandson, Cesori, and later gave up her life to bring Gaara back using a life transfer jutsu. When she was revived during the war, she once again proved her skill and bravery as a ninja. Kin and Jin. These two brothers from the Hidden Cloud Village were known for being extremely dangerous. In the past, they nearly killed the second Hokage, Tobarama Senju, which is a big deal considering how strong he was. They had some of the Nine Tails chakra inside them because they were swallowed by the beast, but survived by eating its insides. Because of that, they could use the Nine Tails chakra mode, giving them more power, speed, and fast healing. They also carried 4 sacred treasures, special weapons that could seal a person's soul just by using their voice in a certain way. Together, Kinkaku and Genkaku were one of the deadliest threats on the battlefield. Toroi. Toroi was a well-known ninja from the Hidden Cloud Village. He had a rare Keki Genkai called Magnet Release, which let him create strong magnetic fields. He combined this with special metal weapons so that when he attacked, large weapons would be pulled toward the target, making it very hard to dodge. Since most weapons are made of metal, this made Toroi super dangerous in close combat. Gari. Gari was a powerful jonin from the Hidden Stone Village and was revived by Kabuto during the 4th Great Ninja War. He had Explosion Release, Bakutan, a rare Keki Genkai that allowed him to make anything he touched explode. He specialized in close-range fighting. One punch from Gari could blow up an enemy instantly. After being revived, he fought alongside other powerful reanimated shinobi like Pakura. Pakura came from the Hidden Sand Village and was one of their strongest kunoichi when she was alive. She had a Keki Genkai called Scorch Release, which let her create heat orbs that could dry out a person's body in seconds. Her jutsu could completely dehydrate her enemies, making her one of the scariest ninjas to face on the battlefield. Hayate Gecko. Hayate was one of the top swordsmen in the Hidden Leaf Village. He was especially good at moving silently and spying, which is why the 3rd Hokage picked him to secretly investigate Kabuto. Sadly, Hayate was killed when he found out about Orochimaru's plan during the Chunin exams. Even though he died early, he was later brought back during the war. Hisashi Hyuga. Hisashi was a jonin from the Hyuga clan and the twin brother of Hayashi, the clan leader. He was also Neji's father. His return during the war was a huge emotional moment, especially for Neji. Neji had grown up thinking his father died unfairly, and seeing Hisashi again helped him understand the truth and finally get some peace. Shin. During the war, we also saw the return of Shin, Sai's older brother. He was a member of Root, a special Ambu group trained to completely shut off emotions. Shin didn't do much fighting in the war, but his meeting with Sai was really important. It gave us a deeper look into their past and allowed Sai to show emotions, something we don't usually see from him. This short moment between the brothers helped Sai grow as a character and become more connected to others. Hanzo. Finally, there's Hanzo, the legendary leader of the Hidden Rain Village. In his lifetime, Hanzo was known as nearly unbeatable. He was famous for his powerful combat skills and the deadly poison he used, often through Ibuse, his giant salamander summon. He was so strong that even the legendary trio, Jiraiya, Tsunade, and Orochimaru, were given the title Sannin after surviving a fight with him. When he was brought back in the war, Hanzo fought against the allied shinobi forces. One of his key moments was his battle with Mifune, the leader of the samurai. It was a meaningful fight, showing how even strong warriors like Hanzo could reflect on their choices and past. Jinchurikis. Yugito Nai. Yugito was the Jinchuriki of the Two Tails and a skilled kunoichi from the Cloud Village. What made her special was that she had full control over her tailed beast, something that even Naruto couldn't do for many years. Unfortunately, she was defeated by Hidan and Kakuzu. After that, she was captured. The beast was taken from her, and she died. Later, during the war, she was brought back to fight again under Obito's control. Yagura Karatachi. Yagura was the Jinchuriki of the Three Tails and also the fourth Mizukage of the Mist Village. During his rule, the village got the nickname Bloody Mist Village because of how harsh it became. But here's the twist. Yagura wasn't truly in control. Obito had put him under a genjutsu and used him like a puppet for years. After being freed, Yagura died, but then was brought back through Edo Tensei to fight for the same person who once controlled him. Roshi. Roshi, the Jinchuriki of the Four Tails, was an older ninja from the Stone Village. He left his village to try and build a better relationship with his tailed beast, instead of being used like a weapon. He had a rare Kekkei Genkai, called Lava Release, combining earth and fire chakra to create and control lava. Sadly, he was defeated and captured by Kisame before the war, and the beast was taken from him. Han was the Jinchuriki of the Five Tails and a well-known ninja from the Stone Village. He had a huge body and wore special steam-powered armor, which made him stand out from other Jinchuriki. Han used Steam Release, a rare Kekkei Genkai that mixed fire and water chakra to create high-pressure steam for powerful attacks. Like many others, he was captured by Akatsuki. After they took the tailed beast out of him, he died. During the Fourth Great Ninja War, he was brought back using Edo Tensei and made to fight as part of Obito's army. Utakata. Utakata, the Jinchuriki of the Six Tails, was a rogue ninja from the Mist Village. His own teacher once tried to hunt him down, which led him to live a lonely life. He had a very unique fighting style using bubble ninjutsu. He could create chakra-infused bubbles to attack, defend, and even seal enemies. The technique looked playful, but in Utakata's hands, it was seriously dangerous. Fu was the Jinchuriki of the Seven Tails and came from the Waterfall Village. She had a bright and cheerful personality, always excited to meet new people. That was something rare, especially for someone who lived as a Jinchuriki, many of whom lived in isolation and pain. While Gaara was lucky enough to be rescued, Fu wasn't as fortunate. She was captured and killed by the Akatsuki before they even targeted Gaara. Swordsman of the Mist. Zabuza Momochi. Zabuza was one of the most dangerous swordsmen. As a kid, he killed over 100 classmates during the academy graduation exam, earning him the nickname Demon of the Hidden Mist. After trying and failing to assassinate the Mizukage, Zabuza became a highly wanted mercenary. His weapon, the Kubikiri Bocho, was huge and could repair itself by absorbing iron from the blood of people it cut. It was a scary weapon, made for someone like Zabuza. But what really added depth to his character was his bond with Haku, the only person he truly cared about. Haku. Haku wasn't a member of the Seven Swordsmen, but he was still revived alongside Zabuza during the war. He had a rare Keki Genkai called Ice Release, which let him create strong ice mirrors that couldn't be melted by regular fire-style jutsu. Even though he had a hard life and grew up in hiding, Haku stayed kind and gentle. His story ended in a sad way. He gave his life to protect Zabuza during a battle with Team 7. Later, both were brought back with Edo Tensei to fight again in the war. Ameyuri Ringo. Ameyuri was the only female member of the Seven Swordsmen. She was known for using the Kiba blades, twin swords that could channel lightning and were considered the most powerful among the group's weapons. With lightning release, she could attack quickly and with great force, making it very hard for enemies to react. Her fighting style was fast, deadly, and hard to stop, especially during close-range battles. Jinin Akebino. Jinin was a powerful jonin from the Hidden Mist, and part of the strongest generation of the Seven Swordsmen. He used the Kabutawari, a weapon made to break through any defense, no matter how strong. Because of this, Jinin was a serious threat to anyone who relied on defense to survive in battle. Kushimaru Kuriarare. Kushimaru was possibly the creepiest of the group because of his cruel nature. He enjoyed torturing people and treated it like an art. He used the Nuibari, a long needle-like sword, to stab through multiple enemies at once and sew their bodies together with metal wire. His fighting style was both painful and terrifying. Fuguki Suikazan. Fuguki was a huge and physically strong member of the swordsmen. He carried Samehada, a sword that could absorb chakra from its targets, but the sword only worked with people who had a lot of chakra themselves. Sadly, Fuguki betrayed his own village by selling military secrets, and his story ended when his student, Kisame, killed him. Kisame then took over Samehada and became its new wielder. Mangetsu Hozuki. Mangetsu was Suigetsu's older brother and a true genius among the swordsmen. What made him special was that he could use all 7 swords, something no one else had done before. With his clan's hydrification technique, he could turn his body into water to avoid attacks. His combination of sword skills and strong defense made him a near-perfect ninja in battle. Jinpachi Munashi. Jinpachi was from the original generation of the 7 swordsmen. He used Shibuki, the blasting sword, which was covered in explosive tags. Every time he swung the sword, it caused a big explosion. Besides being brutal in close combat, Jinpachi was also smart in battle, using explosions and tactics to trap enemies. Orochimaru. The last person on the list of wood release users has to be Orochimaru. Even though he's one of the most brilliant ninja with deep knowledge of all kinds of jutsu and forbidden techniques, his ability to use wood release is actually very limited and unnatural. Orochimaru could only access wood release after taking over a modified white Zetsu body that had Hashirama's DNA. This clearly shows that he didn't naturally possess wood release. He only borrowed it through experiments and body modifications. In battle, we never really see Orochimaru use wood release. Instead, he still mainly relies on his snake techniques, sealing jutsu, and other forbidden jutsu. So overall, even though he managed to gain access to wood release, he ranks at the very bottom. Yeah, Orochimaru was able to use wood release. Pretty wild, right? Make sure to watch until the end. You'll be surprised. Moegi. Right above Orochimaru in the wood release user ranking is Moegi, a pretty surprising name. Starting out as a young genin in Konohamaru's original team, Moegi later grew into a capable jonin and somehow gained the ability to use wood release, even though the series never explained exactly how she got it. Her wood release skills are still quite limited compared to other users, and so far, she's only shown 2 techniques: Mokutan, Ryokushoku no Jutsu, and Mokutan, Sumoku Kekai. This shows that she focuses more on the support side of wood release rather than powerful direct attacks. Moegi hasn't shown the ability to create large or complex wooden structures, and we also haven't seen her use wood release in any major battles. However, as a young jonin and a mentor to the next generation, Moegi still has a lot of potential to grow. The fact that she has a rare Kekkei Genkai-like wood release without having any direct bloodline ties to the Senju clan is something worth paying attention to. It hints that there might be other ways to access this power in the Naruto world. Danzo Shamura. Ranking just a bit higher than Moegi is Danzo Shamura, the former leader of Root and the man who once claimed the title of 6th Hokage temporarily. Danzo gained the ability to use wood release through his right arm, which had been implanted with Hashiama Senju's cells and multiple Sharingan eyes. At first, Danzo didn't implant Hashirama's cells to use wood release. His main goal was to extend the duration of Izanagi, a forbidden Uchiha technique, from just a few seconds to a full minute per Sharingan eye. This arm, which was implanted by Orochimaru, also gave Danzo the ability to heal himself without hand signs, a trait originally belonging to Hashirama. However, Danzo's use of wood release was extremely basic and limited. Throughout the entire series, he only used it once, during his battle with Sasuke Uchiha, when he had to avoid a deadly blow from Susanoo's arrow. At that moment, Danzo created a large tree to deflect the attack, but even that simple technique drained his chakra badly, as noted by Karen. This showed how poor his control over wood release was, and how much chakra it consumed, making it something he clearly didn't want to use unless absolutely necessary. His lack of control became even more obvious toward the end of his fight with Sasuke, when Danzo was nearly out of chakra and could no longer suppress the Hashirama cells. The cells started growing out of control, forming a giant tree that threatened to swallow his entire body. Danzo was forced to cut off his own arm to stop it, proving that his body wasn't fully compatible with Hashirama's cells, even though, in theory, having both Uchiha and Senju DNA gave Danzo the potential to control the Nine Tails. He never showed any ability to do that. In fact, he couldn't use wood release from any part of his body other than the implanted arm, although he could use it without hand signs. But hey, theory is just theory. When it comes to actual impact and legacy, Danzo's wood release didn't really contribute anything to the ninja world. It was only part of his personal plan, and he never passed the knowledge on to anyone. The ability died with him when he committed suicide using the reverse 4 symbols sealing technique. All of this makes Danzo one of the least effective wood release users in the Naruto world, even though he had huge potential thanks to his borrowed power. Black Zetsu. Next up in the ranking of wood release users is Black Zetsu. He actually showed a pretty impressive level of wood release during his fight against the 5th Mizukage, Mei Terumi, and her supporting team of Jonin. In that battle, Zetsu used large roots and branches to attack, showing that he had pretty solid control over the technique. His power was proven by the fact that the group of strong Jonin couldn't quickly take him down. Even with Naruto joining and using his Nine Tails Chakra mode, KCM1, Zetsu still managed to hold his ground and even interrupted Naruto just as he was about to launch a Rasen Shuriken. And since we're talking about Black Zetsu, let's mention the White Zetsu army too. Honestly, those guys are completely mindless. The DNA of White Zetsu is very similar to Hashiama Senju's DNA, which was confirmed through medical examinations by Shizune and Sakura Haruno. That similarity gave them a small amount of wood release ability. Through Kabuto's experiments on Yamato, the strength of the Zetsu army was boosted significantly during the 4th Great Ninja War, turning them into a somewhat formidable fighting force. But even with that, the wood release used by the Zetsus lacked finesse and variety compared to the other users on this list. Their techniques were super basic, mainly just using simple roots and branches to attack enemies. And well, that makes sense, because at the end of the day, they're just lifeless clones with no real personality or skills. Obito. Next in the ranking of ninja who possess wood release is Obito Uchiha, who takes the 5th spot on this list. After being crushed by a rock slide during a mission in Kusagakure, Madara restored Obito's body by replacing his missing limbs with a material similar to white zetsu, which was made from Hashiama Senju's cells. This reconstruction not only gave Obito access to wood release, but also granted him incredible endurance, fast regeneration, and even the ability to survive without food or water. More importantly, the Hashiama cells helped him counter the side effects of the Mangekyo Sharingan, allowing him to use his eyes without going blind. The most impressive display of Obito's wood release happened when he awakened his Mangekyo Sharingan after witnessing Rin's death at the hands of Kakashi. In a fit of rage, Obito combined his Mangekyo Sharingan powers with wood release to wipe out an entire squad of Kirigakure ninja. He used wood release techniques effectively, like throwing a branch into an enemy and then channeling chakra through it to make it expand and explode on contact. Obito also created a large, twisted tree structure to trap multiple ANBU members at once, showing a fairly advanced control over his wood release. However, aside from these moments, Obito didn't use wood release much in regular combat. Most of the time, his use of it was pretty simple, mainly for piercing attacks, and the scale wasn't too massive. Obito was definitely powerful, but compared to other wood release users on this list, his abilities didn't show the same level of variety or mastery. He mostly used wood release as a support tool for his main powers, like the Sharingan and Rinnegan. Guru. Also Zetsu, but it's Spiral Zetsu. Spiral Zetsu, also known as Guru, is one of the notable users of wood style. He's a synthetic body created entirely from Hashirama's cells, which gives him wood style abilities far beyond those of normal white Zetsu, who basically just turn into trees when they get smacked by Naruto. What makes Guru special is that, even though he's basically a byproduct of Hashirama's power, he's able to use some pretty impressive wood release techniques. During the 4th Great Ninja War, Guru summoned a massive wooden Buddha statue to fight against the Shinobi Alliance. While it wasn't as enormous or legendary as Hashirama's thousand-armed cannon, this wooden structure still posed a serious threat to several high-level ninjas at the same time. The fact that Guru could maintain control over this massive structure while fighting strong opponents like Tsunade, Onoki, Mei Terumi, and even the reanimated 3rd Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi, shows just how skilled he was at using wood release. What's even more interesting is how Guru boosted his power by using Yamato's body as a medium, tapping into Yamato's own wood release potential to enhance his techniques. The Buddha statue was also incredibly flexible in battle, thanks to its ability to channel all 5 elemental chakra natures at once. That added elemental boost made it even more dangerous. The Shinobi Alliance themselves admitted that if Hiruzen hadn't stepped in, they would have been overwhelmed due to chakra exhaustion. Compared to Black Zetsu's fight with Mei and her Jonin team, Guru's performance was on a whole other level, clearly showing that his use of wood release in battle was much more effective. All in all, Guru represents a surprisingly strong 2nd-tier wood release user. He's able to create and control massive wooden structures with added elemental support, making him one of the more dangerous non-human users of Hashirama's legacy. Yamato ranks 3rd on the list of wood release users, which is pretty impressive considering how he got his powers in the first place. He's actually the only person who survived Orochimaru's experiments to implant cells from the 1st Hokage, Hashiama Senju. The fact that he lived through it already shows that his body had a special compatibility with this legendary Kekkei Genkai, something Orochimaru didn't even realize until he ran into Yamato again at the Tenchi Bridge. When it comes to raw power and skill, Yamato himself admits he's only about 1% as strong as Hashirama, but that doesn't take away from how useful and dangerous he still is in battle. He's able to create large wooden structures almost instantly, which is no joke. One unique trait about Yamato's wood release is that his wood always looks clean and polished, almost like it was handcrafted instead of wild and natural like other users. He can use wood style for both offense and defense, growing trees out of his arms to trap or stab enemies, creating wooden prisons to lock them in, or setting up barriers that can even repair themselves. His wood clone jutsu is especially handy for scouting and intel gathering, with a cool trick where he can turn the clone into a seed to secretly track targets. He used this tactic successfully to keep tabs on Team 7, when Sai was acting shady, and later again when monitoring Cloud Village ninjas. But Yamato's most impressive feat is definitely his ability to suppress Tailed Beast chakra, especially the Nine Tails. While he's nowhere near Hashirama, who could literally overpower full-tailed beasts, Yamato could still suppress Naruto in his dangerous Four Tails form. That's a huge deal, and the main reason why he was added to Kakashi's team, to keep Naruto in check. When it comes to potential, Yamato has already reached his limit. Since his wood release isn't natural, but comes from implanted cells, he can't grow or evolve it like those born with the ability. But honestly, he's already pushed it to the max, and that alone is enough to earn him the number 3 spot on this list. Madara Uchiha. Who else could it be, right? Madara gained access to wood style by implanting Hashirama's cells directly into his own body, literally by biting off a chunk of flesh from Hashirama during their final battle and slapping it onto the wound on his chest. No fancy experiments, just raw wild instinct. In terms of strength and mastery, Madara reached a level nearly equal to Hashirama himself, a crazy achievement considering how unnatural his path to wood style was. His power was clear in massive techniques like deep forest emergence, where he instantly created an enormous forest. Not only were the wooden structures physically overwhelming, but they also released a paralyzing pollen strong enough to knock out all 5 Kage at the same time, a devastating ability on any battlefield. When it comes to battle application, Madara was insanely versatile. He could create 25 wood clones at once, and each clone could activate Susanoo. That's just ridiculous. His wood dragon technique was also powerful enough to restrain Naruto in full Ninetales mode, though it still didn't quite reach the same level as Hashirama's original dragon. In terms of development, Madara had a unique edge. He spent his life fighting against Hashirama, the greatest wood style user of all time. That constant rivalry gave him deep insight into how this Kekkei Genkai worked and how far it could go. Combined with his natural combat genius and the Sharingan's ability to copy techniques, Madara quickly learned and mastered wood style to a degree no other non-natural user has ever reached. His ability to fuse wood style into his original fighting style, especially with Susanoo and other Uchiha jutsu, shows just how creative and adaptable he was. When it comes to legacy and influence, Madara wasn't widely known for his wood style during his lifetime, but during the Fourth Great Ninja War, his performance completely redefined what this Kekkei Genkai could do in the hands of an Uchiha. Still, unlike Hashirama, Madara didn't leave behind any kind of positive legacy with wood style. He used it purely as a weapon to push forward his Infinite Tsukuyomi plan. And of course, no one deserves the number 1 spot on this list more than Hashiama Senju. Hashiama Senju is known as the god of shinobi, and he's the original source of all wood-style abilities that came afterward in the ninja world. When it comes to power and mastery, Hashirama stands in a class of his own, with the ability to reshape the battlefield in an instant. The scale of his techniques is way beyond any other user, from giant wooden hands that could grab the Nine Tails like it was just a wild pet, to massive wooden barriers strong enough to withstand tailed beast bombs. The durability of the wooden structures Hashirama created made them perfect for fighting the strongest enemies, including Madara Uchiha, with his perfect Susanoo. His control was also top tier. He could attack from multiple angles at once with incredible precision. In battle, Hashirama's wood style showed unmatched versatility and creativity. He could summon the wood golem, a giant creature strong enough to go head-to-head with Madara's perfect Susanoo, and the wood dragon, which could absorb chakra and neutralize tailed beasts. And of course, he could grow trees that bloomed and released sleep-inducing pollen to disable his enemies. But the peak of his power came when he combined wood style with Sage Mode, creating the legendary Sage Art Wood Release, true several thousand hands. This massive Buddha-like statue, with thousands of arms, was so powerful, it could rip the Nine Tails out of Madara's Susanoo and literally reshape the land, creating the Valley of the End during their final clash. One especially crazy thing about Hashirama is that he could enter Sage Mode almost instantly, a rare feat even among Sage Art Masters. That alone shows just how insane his chakra control was. Hashirama's most unique and unmatched achievement was his ability to tame and control the tailed beasts, something only a handful of people in the history of the ninja world could ever do. Using the technique called Hokage-style 60-year-old technique, Kakuen entering society with bliss-bringing hands, he could put a tailed beast into a calm, sleep-like state just through direct contact or by channeling his wood-style chakra. Thanks to his wood style, he was able to capture and later distribute the tailed beast to other ninja villages as a gesture of goodwill, which helped create a balance of power in the early days of the shinobi world. The legacy of Hashiama Senju goes far beyond what he achieved in his lifetime. His DNA became a highly sought-after resource, leading to the creation of other wood-style users like Yamato, Danzo's modified arm, and even the White Zetsu army. But one thing is crystal clear: no matter how many times his power was cloned or implanted, the wood style of those who inherited it was always a pale imitation of the original. None of them could fully recreate the scale, strength, or finesse that Hashirama brought to this one-of-a-kind Kekkei Genkai. Hashiama Senju wasn't just the strongest wood-style user, he became the unbeatable gold standard, the ultimate benchmark in Naruto's history. God rank, Asura Otsutsuki. Asura Otsutsuki, the younger son of Hagoromo Otsutsuki, is a special case in the history of wood release, one that is only explored in the anime. As the ancestor of the Senju clan and the supposed ancient genetic source of wood release, Asura gives us an interesting perspective on the origins of this legendary Kekkei Genkai before Hashirama's time. According to what was revealed, Asura was able to use wood release by combining the earth and water chakra natures, the same basic principle later used by Hashiama Senju and those who inherited his abilities. Similarly, Asura's power was significantly boosted when combined with Sage Mode, Senjutsu, allowing him to create massive wooden structures in battle, something that reminds us of Hashirama's true several thousand hands technique. Although the anime doesn't give us a lot of details about how refined or large-scale Asura's wood release techniques were, the fact that he could merge it with Sage Mode suggests he had reached a high level of mastery. In terms of legacy, Asura can be seen as an important link in the evolution of wood release, connecting the ancient chakra of the Otsutsuki clan with the natural genius of Hashirama generations later. While he's not commonly known as a wood release user in the main series, Asura's presence in ninja history deepens our understanding of where this power came from and what it's truly capable of.
Son Goku. In the world of Naruto, the concept of divine figures is rarely mentioned outright, but it manifests in symbolic forms. One of the earliest examples is Enma, the personal summon of the third
Hokage.
Hiruzen Sarutobi. Enma appears as a giant monkey, reminiscent of Sun Wukong, the Monkey King from the Chinese epic Journey to the West. This connection is not accidental. Enma carries the same mythical qualities: wisdom, power, and transformation. His ability to turn into the Nyoibo, or adamantine staff, is directly inspired by the Ruyi Jingubang, the weapon used by Sun Wukong. Enma doesn't just act as a summon, he becomes an extension of Hiruzen's strategy and willpower. The Nyoibo transformation allows Enma to expand, shrink, and strike with tremendous force, giving Hiruzen both offense and defense in one seamless motion. This ability was critical during the battle against Orochimaru, especially when the third Hokage had to face the reanimated first and second Hokage. The coordination between Hiruzen and Enma revealed more than raw power. It demonstrated the kind of trust and tactical synergy only achievable through years of experience and disciplined training. On a cultural level, Enma mirrors the deeper traits of Sun Wukong's spiritual journey. In East Asian Buddhism, the Monkey King eventually becomes a Buddha after overcoming his ego and chaos. In Japanese Buddhist and Shinto beliefs, monkeys are sacred messengers, creatures that embody intelligence and boundary-breaking energy. Within this spiritual framework, Enma's appearance functions as a guardian figure. He is both fierce and enlightened, embodying both warrior instinct and moral balance. This relationship also adds depth to Hiruzen's character. He stands not only as a powerful shinobi, but also as a symbol of balance between tradition and strength. His choice of summon speaks volumes about his values, strategic foresight, spiritual discipline, and a commitment to the protection of the village. Enma is more than a tool. He is the physical representation of the third Hokage's ideals in battle. Nirvana Punch and Thousand-Armed Cannon Hashiama Senju's Buddha technique is one of the most visually overwhelming jutsu ever seen in the series. Known as True Several Thousand Hands, or Nirvana Punch, it manifests a massive thousand-armed Buddha statue capable of dwarfing mountains. Each hand can strike with monumental force, and together they form a barrage powerful enough to destroy a complete Susanoo and pin down a tailed beast. Asuma Sarutobi's version, though far smaller and unnamed, follows the same motif, an attack formed by the imagery of a many-armed divine figure. He used this attack in his fatal battle against Haiden of the Akatsuki, while Hashirama's technique was built for overwhelming power and large-scale combat. Asuma's felt more like a final stand. In both cases, however, the inspiration behind the technique draws from the thousand-armed cannon, or Senju cannon, a form of Avalokiteshvara, the bodhisattva of compassion. The many arms and eyes of this figure represent the ability to see and reach all beings in suffering. The statue itself is a symbol of divine intervention, appearing when the world needs protection. In Japanese Buddhist tradition, Cannon is not a destroyer, but a guardian. This dual nature of compassion and power is what makes the technique more than just an attack. In Hashirama's hands, it becomes a defense of the world. He used it in his fight with Madara Uchiha, symbolizing a clash not just of power, but of philosophy. Hashirama sought peace through unity. The Buddha statue, overwhelming in size, stood as a literal and symbolic shield between destruction and survival. Asuma's case reflects a different layer of meaning. His final attack embodies the self-sacrificial side of compassion. He uses it knowing the cost, not for victory, but to buy time and protect his comrades. The arms of the statue may be fewer, but the spirit remains. It emphasizes the idea that divine power, when wielded with clarity and selflessness, becomes a tool for redemption. These contrasting uses show how the same divine symbol adapts depending on the user's purpose and values. Hashirama wielded godlike strength to establish a peaceful world, while Asuma, in his final moment, echoed the same divine archetype to demonstrate resolve and sacrifice. Both moments tie back to the broader religious imagery and make these statues more than just jutsu. They become reflections of character, philosophy, and the spiritual backbone of the Naruto world.
Sage Mode and Dharma Wheel. Sage Mode is one of the most iconic power systems in Naruto, introduced as a result of deep spiritual discipline. It blends the user's chakra with natural energy, creating a form that is both balanced and immensely powerful. Naruto mastered this technique at Mount Myoboku, allowing him to enhance his strength, speed, and sensory abilities far beyond normal shinobi limits. The foundation of Sage Mode reflects Buddhist concepts of enlightenment, achieved by harmonizing the self with the world around. This harmony is challenged in Boruto through the introduction of Ishiki Otsutsuki. His left eye, adorned with a unique pattern resembling an 8-spoked wheel, draws strong visual parallels to the Dharma wheel, symbolic of the eightfold path in Buddhism. This path includes right view, right intention, right speech, and so on. It represents a complete spiritual discipline aimed at overcoming desire and achieving liberation. However, Ishiki distorts this symbol. Instead of following a path to peace, he uses it to dominate and destroy. His abilities include size manipulation and spatial control, granting him near-divine superiority. The contrast between Naruto's Sage Mode and Ishiki's eye is more than visual. Sage Mode stands for unity with nature and discipline. Ishiki's wheel represents a corrupted form of enlightenment, one that serves destruction rather than wisdom. In Japanese temple architecture, the Dharma wheel often appears on walls and altars, reminding followers of the path to spiritual freedom. Ishiki turns this spiritual icon into a weapon, redefining it as a tool of absolute power. Within the storyline,
This contrast highlights the philosophical clash between Naruto and the Otsutsuki clan. Sage mode becomes a foundation for Naruto's strength as a protector. Meanwhile, Ishiki's eye becomes a symbol of what happens when divine concepts are stripped of meaning and used for conquest. This dynamic adds another layer of depth to the battle between humanity and the godlike invaders. Evil God Joshin. Among the many mysteries in the Naruto universe, the cult of Joshin stands out as one of the most obscure and disturbing. Hayden, a member of the Akatsuki, is the only known follower. His rituals involve self-inflicted wounds and blood sacrifices that allow him to share damage with his opponents, effectively rendering him immortal as long as the ritual is active. The source of this ability is linked to the worship of Joshin, a god who demands constant killing and devotion through death. The nature of Joshin is left intentionally vague. There is no confirmation whether this deity truly exists or if Hayden's power comes from an undisclosed scientific method. Still, the presentation of Joshin closely aligns with ancient sacrificial religions found across different cultures. The use of blood and ritual circles evokes primal traditions, where gods were believed to require offerings to grant power. In Japanese Shinto beliefs, Joshin might resemble a dark kami, or vengeful spirit, beings that exist outside the harmonious balance of life and death. Joshin's role in the narrative is not expansive, but its impact is unique. It introduces a form of faith-based power that contrasts sharply with chakra-based techniques. The horror of Hayden's immortality doesn't come from brute strength, but from his complete submission to a doctrine of destruction. This makes him stand out among the Akatsuki. He cannot be reasoned with or deterred by pain. He kills not for strategy, but for religious fulfillment. Thematically, Joshinism explores the danger of blind belief. Whether divine or fabricated, the faith grants Hayden a power that breaks natural laws. It suggests that belief systems, when twisted toward violence, can become more dangerous than any jutsu. In doing so, the story frames Hayden as a living embodiment of chaos, guided by a god whose presence remains in the shadows. Shinigami Death takes center stage when the Uzumaki clan calls upon the Shinigami through the dead demon-consuming seal. The wielder forms a contract that summons a towering spirit draped in prayer beads and brandishing a ritual knife. The Shinigami grips the soul of both caster and target, then devours them in one motion. Once swallowed, neither spirit can be restored by Edo Tensei. The price is absolute. The user's life ends the moment the seal closes. This risk framed Hiruzen's final battle against Orochimaru. By choosing the seal, he exchanged his future for the village's safety and trapped the first and second Hokage beyond resurrection. The image draws from Japanese folklore, where Shinigami guide the dead rather than punish them. Their neutrality makes them enforcers of balance, not evil entities. The prayer beads echo Buddhist funerary rites, while the blade resembles the ritual Tanto used in Shinto ceremonies. The Uzumaki link hints at an ancient pact. Their longevity and sealing mastery suggest generations spent refining bargaining rights with otherworldly forces. Narratively, the Shinigami highlights sacrifice as a path to protection. Hiruzen's choice sets a standard for later leaders, showing that true authority demands the courage to pay the ultimate cost. The seal also underscores the Uzumaki legacy, reminding viewers that their lost homeland once held secrets capable of binding even death itself. King of Hell. If the Shinigami enforces neutrality, the King of Hell delivers judgment. Nagato channels this entity through the Naraka path of the Rinnegan. A demonic head rises from the ground, its throat ringed with flames. Victims are seized, their tongues stretched toward the light of truth. Lies snap the tongue, ending the life linked to it. The same mouth can also restore fallen allies, reversing fatal wounds. During the assault on Konoha, Nagato revived every civilian he had killed, showcasing both sides of karmic authority. The King of Hell mirrors Enma-O, ruler of the Buddhist underworld. In Japanese temples, his statues hold court over ledgers of sin, reinforcing the principle that deeds bind fate. The Naraka path visualizes this concept through immediate consequence. Honesty grants mercy, deceit earns destruction. Within the plot, the King of Hell reinforces Nagato's philosophy that pain forces understanding. His power to kill or resurrect feeds his conviction that he alone may decide who deserves a second chance. It also broadcasts the Rinnegan's reach. Life, death, and judgment converge in a single glance, setting the stage for later Rinnegan wielders to challenge cosmic order. Hagoromo, long before modern villages, Hagoromo emerged as the first shinobi teacher. Born with chakra from Kaguya, he mastered all elemental releases plus yin-yang transformation. Together with his brother, he subdued the 10 tails, then divided its chakra into the 9-tailed beasts. He healed the sick, spread ninshu, and preached peace built on shared understanding. These acts frame him as both founder and guardian of shinobi history. Culturally, Hagoromo blends Buddhist enlightenment with Shinto creation myths. Like a Buddha, he reaches awakening and guides followers toward balance. Like Izanagi, he shapes the world, turning raw chakra into diverse life. His Magatama necklace and floating Gudodama orbs resemble ritual prayer beads and cosmic spheres found in Japanese iconography, reinforcing his liminal status between mortal and divine. Story-wise, Hagoromo links past and present. His blessing unlocks Naruto's 6-path Sage Mode and Sasuke's Rinnegan, enabling them to counter Madara's Infinite Tsukuyomi. His appearance as a spirit reminds viewers that ideals can outlive bodies. Hagoromo's legacy acts as a moral compass. Power must serve harmony, or the cycle of conflict will restart. Shibai Otsutsuki Boruto expands the scale again with Shibai, an Otsutsuki who transcended physical form after millennia of chakra evolution. Legends claim he abandoned a body, yet still manifests storms, lightning, and raw elemental force through shinjutsu, techniques that bypass hand seals and shape reality with a thought. His presence is felt only in echoes. Ishiki cites Shibai as proof that consuming planet after planet leads to godhood. Shibai's image parallels Supreme Kami like Amaterasu, sovereign of the heavens. Surrounded by a corona of chakra, he mirrors myths of deities wielding natural phenomena as effortless extensions of will. Japanese tales warn that such absolute freedom invites hubris, and Boruto hints at that danger. If Shibai returns, his indifference could erase worlds without malice. Power beyond empathy. For the narrative, Shibai raises the ceiling of possibility. He turns the Otsutsuki threat from conquerors into potential cosmic annihilators. His legend forces heroes to question whether limitless power inevitably discards morality. By setting an unseen figure at the hierarchy's summit, the series plants a final challenge. Defeating enemies is one goal. Preventing oneself from becoming the next Shibai is another. Amaterasu and Kagutsuchi. Among the most iconic Mangekyo Sharingan techniques, Amaterasu stands out for its terrifying permanence. It produces black flames that consume anything in their path until nothing remains. These flames are said to burn as long as the target exists, unaffected by water, wind, or even time. Itachi first used Amaterasu against Jiraiya's defenses, later passing it on to Sasuke. But Sasuke developed an evolution of the technique, Kagutsuchi. Unlike Amaterasu, which simply ignites targets, Kagutsuchi allows control and reshaping of the black flames, letting Sasuke form them into projectiles, shields, or piercing weapons. Both techniques draw from Shinto mythology. Amaterasu is the sun goddess, origin of light and life, and revered as the divine ancestor of the Japanese imperial family. Kagutsuchi, her brother and the god of fire, was born in flames so intense they killed his mother, Izanami. His myth centers on destruction and rebirth through fire, making him a symbol of both cleansing and chaos. In Naruto, the duality between Amaterasu and Kagutsuchi mirrors the Uchiha clan's inner conflict. Amaterasu represents divine judgment, an unrelenting force, while Kagutsuchi shows manipulation and control. Sasuke's mastery over both embodies his journey through pain and vengeance, shaping raw hatred into calculated violence. Together, the techniques symbolize the clan's destructive brilliance and the fine line between divine light and catastrophic fire. Their presence in battle defines the Uchiha legacy, overwhelming power balanced by the risk of losing control. Tsukuyomi is an advanced genjutsu linked to the Mangekyo Sharingan, most famously used by Itachi Uchiha. With a single glance, he pulls his target into a mental world where time is warped. Within seconds, the victim experiences days, even years, of psychological torture. This manipulation bypasses physical resistance, overwhelming the mind entirely. The technique is named after Tsukuyomi no Mikoto, the Shinto moon god, and brother of Amaterasu. While Amaterasu governs light, Tsukuyomi rules over shadow and reflection. In Japanese culture, the moon symbolizes introspection, illusion, and the subconscious. Tsukuyomi as a jutsu channels these ideas into pure psychological dominance. In the story, Tsukuyomi reveals Itachi's strategic precision. He doesn't rely on brute strength, but instead uses illusions to control outcomes. The ability to fracture a mind in an instant adds to his mythos as a cold and calculating shinobi. More than power, it reflects intellect, using illusion to dominate without lifting a hand. Susanoo is the final manifestation of the Mangekyo Sharingan's power. When both eyes awaken their ultimate form, the user gains access to a towering avatar of chakra. This warrior-shaped construct surrounds the user with an indestructible defense and wields divine weapons. Madara, Itachi, and Sasuke each summon different forms, but all versions combine protection with deadly offense. At full strength, Susanoo rivals tailed beasts in size and destructive force. Its name comes from Susanoo no Mikoto, the Shinto storm god. Known for slaying the eight-headed serpent Yamato no Orochi, Susanoo is both chaotic and heroic. He represents violent power tempered by purpose. In Naruto, this symbolism appears in the giant's dual nature. It defends the user, but often emerges in battles of massive destruction. Susanoo serves as the peak of Uchiha battle potential. Its presence signals a shift in combat. Once activated, the battlefield changes entirely. For characters like Sasuke and Madara, it becomes their symbol of authority, control, and legacy. The form is more than a technique, it's a myth turned into chakra. Izanagi and Izanami. Izanagi and Izanami are two of the most conceptually rich techniques in the Uchiha arsenal. Named after the primordial gods of Shinto creation mythology, these Mangekyo Sharingan abilities reflect opposing forces: life and death, action and consequence. Izanagi, used by Danzo and some rogue Uchiha, allows the user to reject death for a brief time by rewriting reality. A mortal wound becomes an illusion. However, using it costs the sight of the Sharingan used to activate it. It grants godlike power, but at an irreversible price. In contrast, Izanami functions not by altering the world, but by locking the target into a loop of repeating sensory experiences. It forces them to confront their choices until they accept their fate. Itachi used Izanami against Kabuto not to destroy him, but to make him acknowledge his path and change. The jutsu targets the mind, not the body, offering no escape until the truth is accepted. These abilities mirror the myth of Izanagi and Izanami in Japanese lore. After Izanami died giving birth to the fire god, she descended into the underworld. Izanagi attempted to retrieve her, but failed, leading to their permanent separation. Their story speaks to the balance between creation and loss, the necessity of accepting natural law. In Naruto, these themes emerge clearly. Izanagi is control without consequence, used by those who reject destiny. Izanami is acceptance through reflection, used to teach humility. Together, they express the Uchiha clan's philosophical complexity. Their power lies not only in combat, but also in the profound understanding of what it means to change, to lose, and to grow. These jutsu are not simply tools, they are reflections of inner conflict and the cost of denying reality.